She says she wants peace, calm, a man who is safe, consistent, entirely predictable. That sounds noble, doesn't it? But here's the uncomfortable truth most men learn too late. If you give her exactly that, complete certainty, complete devotion, zero edge, you don't secure her attraction. You quietly suffocate it. And the real question is, if women truly wanted only safety, why do they so often lose interest the moment they get it? She isn't lying to you, she's lying to herself, because attraction doesn't answer to comfort. Biology doesn't reward the harmless. Evolution never selected the man who poses no risk. It selected the man who cannot be easily controlled. And buried beneath modern narratives, beneath everything you've been told about relationships, there are three structural cracks in the feminine psyche. Patterns that Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics observed nearly 2,000 years ago. Not weaknesses to mock, but mechanisms to understand. Because once you see them clearly, everything changes. You stop reacting to emotional swings and start anticipating them. You stop chasing validation and start controlling the frame. You stop guessing and begin reading the code in real time. Most men spend years trying to pour themselves into a void that was never meant to be filled, trying to be enough. Today we reverse that. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 3 hidden psychological triggers, the ones that turn her need for stability into a quiet dependence on your presence. But be careful with the third one, because it doesn't just challenge what you believe about attraction, it dismantles it completely. And once you see it, really see it, you won't be able to go back. Stoicism is marketed to you as this quiet, noble suffering. Endure, accept, stay calm, take the hit. That's the version weak men cling to. The real thing? It's colder than that. The Stoicism of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, wasn't built to help you cope. It was built to make you untouchable. Not emotionless, not robotic, untouchable. There's a difference most men never understand until it's too late. Because the moment you become emotionally predictable, you become controllable. And control is the currency most men unknowingly pay in every relationship. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been completely fine, calm, focused, grounded, and then suddenly out of nowhere she shifts? Her tone changes. She becomes distant, cold, slightly irritated, and you feel it instantly, that tightness in your chest. You start thinking, what did I do? So you adjust. You soften your voice. You try to fix it. You explain yourself. You chase clarity. And without realizing it, you just stepped into her frame. That's the game. A woman doesn't test your strength when things are peaceful. She tests it by disturbing that peace. She creates emotional variance, a spike, a drop, a tension. Because she's watching one thing. Do you break your center or do you hold it? I've seen this play out more times than men are willing to admit. A guy is solid on his own, focused, disciplined, clear. Then he gets involved, and slowly, almost invisibly, he starts orbiting her moods. She gets upset, he reacts. She pulls away, he chases. She creates tension, he tries to dissolve it. And just like that, he's no longer leading, he's managing her emotions. That's where attraction dies, not loudly, quietly. Because the moment you react impulsively, you reveal something dangerous. You can be moved, and if you can be moved, you can be controlled. This is why real Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about refusing to be governed by someone else's. Apatheia, not I don't care. It's you don't control my internal state. And when a man truly embodies that, he becomes rare. Not loud, not aggressive, dangerous, in a quiet way. Because now, her primary tool loses power. Let's go deeper. There's a principle in psychology most people never think about, but it runs everything. The mind cannot register something that never changes. You don't notice warmth if you've never felt cold. You don't appreciate silence if you've never heard noise. You don't feel stability if there's no contrast. Now apply that to relationships. She says she wants peace, no drama, no stress, but give her a relationship with zero tension, zero uncertainty, zero emotional friction, and watch what happens. I'll paint you a real scenario. A man does everything right. He's consistent, available, supportive, predictable, no arguments, no pressure, no edge. At first she says you're perfect. A few weeks later, she starts feeling off. Then come the small things, a comment about your tone, a random disagreement about something irrelevant. She brings up something you said months ago, and you're sitting there thinking, where is this coming from? You think it's irrational, you think it's emotional instability. It's not. It's hunger. The first hidden weakness is her addiction to emotional friction. Without friction, she feels nothing, and when she feels nothing, she starts creating something. Not because she wants to destroy the relationship, but because she needs to feel its edges. She needs to feel you, and if you're soft, constantly agreeable, always accommodating, you become invisible, like trying to push against air. No resistance, no tension, no presence. And without resistance, there is no attraction. This is where most men make the fatal mistake. They try to fix it. They explain. They rationalize. They negotiate emotions with logic. Listen carefully. She doesn't want the solution. She wants the structure. She wants to know there is something in front of her that does not bend. Because when she throws chaos at you, she's not asking, can you fix this? She's asking, can you handle me? And most men answer that question wrong. They absorb it. They react. They lose posture. But the Stoics already solved this thousands of years ago. Be the immovable object, the cliff, not the wave. The point is not to suppress her emotion. The point is to refuse to be pulled into it. I call this the gray rock of authority, not silence, not passive avoidance, controlled presence. Because watch the pattern most men fall into. She raises her voice, he raises his. She gets emotional, he tries to calm her down. She withdraws, he chases her back. Every reaction is a surrender of frame, a transfer of power. And here's the uncomfortable truth. She cannot regulate herself without something stable to regulate against. She needs a container, and if you collapse into her chaos, that container breaks. Now both of you are inside the storm. No polarity, no structure, no attraction. So what do you do instead? You don't fight her. You don't retreat. You stand, still, grounded, unmoved. You look her in the eye, not aggressively, but without hesitation. And when you speak, it's slow, measured, controlled, not reacting to the emotion, addressing the behavior. You're emotional right now. We'll talk when you're calm. And then you disengage, not to punish, to maintain your frame. You go back to what you were doing, your work, your mission, your direction. And this is where it gets interesting. Because at first, she escalates. Of course she does. She pushes harder, tests more, tries different angles. Why? Because she's checking if the structure is real, or if it cracks under pressure. Like someone pressing against a locked door over and over, trying to see if it gives. Most men fail right here. They break on the second push. But if you don't, something shifts. Not on the surface, deeper. Her anxiety starts to turn into something else, respect. Because now she feels it. I can't move him. And in her world, that translates to, he's stronger than me. And if he's stronger than me, he can protect me. That's the switch. That's the moment attraction rebuilds itself without you chasing it. Because the weakness is simple. She cannot respect a man she can manipulate. And the moment she realizes she can't move you, she stops trying to control you and starts responding to you. You're not doing this to dominate her. You're doing this to establish something most men have lost. An internal world that does not collapse under external pressure. Because when your center is solid, her chaos has nowhere to land. Think about this for a second. In a city full of powerful men, Generals, politicians, aristocrats, there was one man who broke them all without touching them. Alcibiades had everything: status, beauty, influence, access to anyone he wanted. He could walk into a room and take whoever he chose. And yet, he became obsessed with one man, Socrates, not because Socrates impressed him, because he couldn't. Socrates was poor, unattractive, walked barefoot like he didn't belong in the same world. But there was something about him that short-circuited Alcibiades completely. He didn't react, he didn't chase, he didn't admire, he didn't care. And that drove Alcibiades insane. Let that sink in. The most desired man in Athens couldn't get a reaction from a man who had nothing. That's power, not dominance, not aggression, indifference rooted in self-sufficiency. Now ask yourself honestly, when a woman tests you, are you Socrates or are you Alcibiades? Because most men think they're in control until they feel that shift. She pulls back slightly, takes longer to reply. Her energy changes just enough for you to notice. And suddenly, you're not leading anymore. You're watching, analyzing, adjusting. You go from solid to seeking. That's the moment you lose it. Because the second you need her response to stabilize yourself, you've already handed her the power. This is where Epictetus cuts straight through the illusion. You control nothing outside of you. Not her mood, not her interest, not her attention. Only this, your perception, your response, your frame. And that leads to the second weakness most men never see coming. Her dependence on external definition. Watch closely. A woman lives in a constant feedback loop with the world. How she's perceived, how she feels in a room, how others respond to her presence. It's not weakness in the way you think. It's wiring. But inside that wiring, there's a gap, a dependency. Because she doesn't just experience reality, she calibrates it. And when she's with you, you become the calibration point. She is the mirror, you are the signal. So whatever you project, she reflects back, amplified. You've seen this whether you admit it or not. You feel insecure, she becomes distant. You get jealous, she becomes guarded. You start doubting yourself, she starts questioning you. And then you think, she changed. No, she adjusted to you. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Most men go to the mirror and ask it what it sees. Do you like me? What are we? Are you upset with me? Read that again. You're asking the mirror to define your reality. That's not just weak, it's disorienting for her. Because now she's forced into a role she doesn't want. Director, decision maker, authority. And the second she takes that role, she loses attraction. Because now she's leading a man who should be leading her. She doesn't want to write the story. She wants to be pulled into one. And if you don't write it, she will try. But if she succeeds, she stops respecting you. That's the paradox. So what do? You stop asking. You start declaring, not loudly, not arrogantly, calm, certain, assumed. You don't say, where do you want to eat? You say, be ready at 8. We're going somewhere good. You don't ask, can I kiss you? You look at her, pause, and take it like it was already decided. You don't ask, are we exclusive? You move like a man who doesn't compete, like it's already understood. And here's the part most men miss. It's not about the words, it's about the certainty behind them. Because if you say all the right things, but inside you're still waiting for approval, she feels it instantly, and she pulls away. But when there's no gap, no hesitation, no internal negotiation, something shifts. You become gravity. She starts orienting around you, not because you forced it, because you defined the environment. This is what Robert Greene talks about when he describes the charismatic. A man who believes his own narrative so completely that other people stop questioning it. They just step into it. Now watch how this plays out in real life. She gets a little bratty, pushes, tests, slight disrespect. Most men react emotionally. They get offended, defensive, or worse, they try to correct her behavior from a place of insecurity. And what happens? They validate her power. They confirm, this works on me. But you don't flinch. You look at her almost amused, like you're watching a child try to move something too heavy, not disrespectful, unmoved. And in that moment, something rewires, because you just redefined her behavior, not as a threat, but as noise. You didn't absorb it. You didn't fight it. You neutralized it. That's frame control. And this is where Stoicism becomes surgical. It teaches you to strip emotion from interpretation. She's not rejecting you. She's testing your stability. She's not pulling away. She's creating space to see if you step forward with certainty or retreat with doubt. Everything changes when you see it like this, because now you're not reacting to her, you're reading her. And when you control your perception, you control the entire interaction. This is where it turns. Her need for an external anchor means one simple thing. The man with the strongest reality wins. Not the loudest, not the nicest, the most certain. If your internal narrative is, I am the prize and I'm fine either way, and hers is, I need to know where I stand, your frame doesn't compete with hers, it consumes it. And you felt this before, even if you didn't understand it at the time. You meet a woman, and in your head you elevate her too quickly. She's different. She's special. I don't want to mess this up. You start treating her like she's already above you. And what happens? Subtly, almost invisibly, she starts pulling back. Less effort, less investment, less curiosity, because you handed her a role she didn't earn. Now flip it. You meet her, you like her, sure, but in your mind she's still being evaluated. She hasn't proven anything yet. You're calm, you're present, but there's distance, not coldness. Standards, and suddenly she leans in. She starts asking more questions, trying to qualify herself to you, trying to understand how you see her. That's the shift. Because she begins to see herself through your eyes. If you treat her like a temporary moment, she will fight to become permanent. If you treat her like a queen, she will treat you like a subject. That's not cruelty, that's gravity. And the mistake most men make is they reveal too much, too early. Trying to build connection, they think vulnerability creates attraction. Sometimes it does. But uncontrolled vulnerability, that kills it. Let me show you something most men never notice. Early stage, she asks you a question. Tell me about your past. What have you been through? Why did your last relationship end? And you open up. You explain everything. You give her the full story. Your wounds, your struggles, your emotional map. You think you're building trust. What you're actually doing is removing all mystery. You've given her the entire book before she's even decided if she wants to read it. And once there's no tension, no unanswered questions, no gaps to fill, her mind goes quiet, interest fades. Now compare that to a man who understands restraint. She asks the same question. He pauses, not because he's nervous, because he chooses what to reveal. I've learned that trust is expensive. I don't invest it quickly. And then he stops. No explanation, no oversharing, just enough to spark curiosity. Now watch what happens inside her. Her mind starts working. What does he mean? What has he been through? Why is he like this? She starts building a story around you. Depth, mystery, experience. Not because you said it, because she projected it. This is what I call the oracle effect. In ancient times, people would travel for days to hear a few words from the oracle, and those words were never clear, never complete, fragments, and people would obsess over them, fill in the blanks, create meaning. That's what you become. Not distant, not cold, selective, measured. You don't flood her with information. You let her earn access to it. Because the less you explain, the more she thinks, and the more she thinks, the more space you occupy in her mind. She is doing the work. You're just giving her the surface to project onto. But understand this clearly. These two weaknesses, her addiction to emotional friction and her need for external definition, they're just the surface layer. This is where most men stop. They learn this, they apply a bit of it, and they think they've figured it out. They haven't, because the third one is where everything people tell you about attraction completely breaks down. The third weakness. This is where most men start shifting in their seat, because it collides head-on with everything you've been taught. You've been told she wants a partner, an equal, someone soft, safe, open. That sounds good. It sounds civilized, but it doesn't survive contact with reality. Strip away the conditioning, the social scripts, the polite language, and you'll find something older underneath. Colder, more honest. She doesn't want a partner. Not in the way you think. Deep down in the part of her that existed long before modern comfort. She wants the monster. And you've seen this play out, even if you've never said it out loud. The nice guy does everything right. He listens, he supports, he validates. He's always available, always understanding. And somehow, he ends up as the emotional tampon, the safe option, the one she vents to, before disappearing with a man who makes no such effort. You've watched that happen. Maybe you've lived it, and it messes with your head because it doesn't make sense logically. But attraction isn't logical. It's ancient. It's built on survival, not fairness. History is full of it. Women drawn to warriors, outlaws, men with sharp edges, and society tries to explain it away with labels. Hybristophilia, a clinical word to make it sound like a defect. But that's surface-level thinking, because it's not the chaos she's drawn to. It's the capacity behind it, the potential, the underlying message of that man's existence. I can destroy, but I choose not to. That's the signal. That's what cuts through. As Jordan Peterson put it, a harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a dangerous man who has it under control. Read that again, because most men today are trained to be harmless, not disciplined, not restrained, harmless, and then they wonder why they're ignored, why they're respected in conversation, but never desired, why she calls them sweet instead of wanting them. Because there's nothing there to fear, and without a hint of fear, there's no surrender. And no, I'm not talking about fear of violence. That's where people misunderstand this completely. It's not about being unstable, it's about being capable. There's a difference, a massive one. A man who is unstable is dangerous to everyone. A man who is controlled, but capable, is dangerous only when necessary. That's the man she can lean into. Because the world is not safe, and deep down, she knows it. So she looks at you and subconsciously asks, if things go wrong, can you handle it? And most men fail that test before it even begins. Not because they're weak physically, but because they're soft psychologically. They fold, they hesitate, they apologize for existing, and she feels that instantly. Now compare that to a man who moves differently. He's calm, measured, but there's an edge. Not loud, not aggressive, just present. You can feel it in how he speaks, in how he disagrees, in how he doesn't rush to smooth things over. I'll give you a real moment. She says something you don't agree with. Most men, they smile, nod, avoid friction. Yeah, I guess you're right. Because they're afraid of losing her. But a man who understands this, he looks at her, holds eye contact, and says simply no. That's not correct. And then he stops. No over-explaining, no nervous laughter, just certainty. And in that silence, something happens. She might react on the surface, push back, act offended, test harder, but watch closely. Her eyes change. There's curiosity there now, tension, because she just hit something solid, something that doesn't bend. And that's rare. That's what she's been looking for, without even knowing it. Here's the dark part most men won't admit. When she tests you, when she argues, pokes, challenges. Part of her wants you to win. Not in a loud, dominant way, but in a controlled, grounded way. She wants to feel like she can't move you, because if she can't move you, she can trust you. If she breaks you, she loses respect. And once respect is gone, attraction follows. So when you fold, she doesn't feel relieved. She feels disappointed, even if she doesn't say it. But when you hold, when you stay grounded, when you don't chase, don't react, don't collapse, she relaxes, not because you submitted, because she can. That's the polarity. That's the exchange. This is what Marcus Aurelius actually embodied. Not softness, control. He spent his days at war and his nights refining his mind. Not nice, disciplined. There's a difference most men never learn. Nice is the absence of power. Stoic is the mastery of it. And this is the final weakness. She cannot fully give herself to a man she does not feel is stronger than her. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So what do you become? Not the monster without control. That's chaos. You become the monster in the cage. The cage is your discipline, your restraint, your clarity. But the monster, that's your ambition, your standards, your refusal to tolerate disrespect. And she needs to see both, because if you're just the cage, you're safe, predictable, replaceable. If you're just the monster, you're unstable, dangerous, temporary. But if you are both controlled power, now you're rare. Now you're something she doesn't encounter often. And that's where attraction stops being something you chase and becomes something she steps into. Now step back and actually look at what you've built here. Not tricks, not lines, a structure. Most men never build one. That's why they collapse under pressure. You've seen it happen. A man starts strong, grounded, clear, then slowly, piece by piece, he hands himself over. He starts fixing her moods, explaining himself, seeking reassurance. And before he even realizes it, he's not leading anymore. He's negotiating his own value. What we've done here is the opposite. You stopped fixing her chaos. You became the surface she crashes into. Not cold, not distant, stable, unmoved. And that alone satisfies something deep inside her. Because now there's friction. Now there's something real to push against. Then you removed something even more dangerous. The need for her to define you. You stopped asking, stopped checking where you stand, and instead, you decided where you stand, quietly, without announcement. Now she looks at you, not as a question, but as the answer. And then, you killed the most damaging illusion of all, the harmless man. You didn't become aggressive. You didn't become reckless. You became controlled, disciplined, capable. A man who has edges, but chooses when to use them. And when those three elements come together, something flips. You stop chasing, completely, not as a tactic, as a consequence. Because now, you're no longer operating from lack. You're not standing outside her door hoping to be let in. You're inside your own world. And she either steps into it, or she doesn't. And here's the part that hits most men the hardest. The moment you genuinely stop needing the outcome is the moment you become the outcome. You felt glimpses of this. Maybe once, maybe for a few days. That period where you didn't care as much. You were focused on your own life. And suddenly, she leaned in, texted more, showed more interest. That wasn't coincidence, that was alignment. Most men are like leaves. They move based on whatever wind hits them. A message changes their mood. A delay creates anxiety. A reaction controls their behavior. Unstable, reactive, easy to read, easy to control. But a man who is grounded is something else entirely. He's the oak, and leaves don't control the oak. They move around it. This is what the Stoics called Ataraxia, not numbness, not indifference in the weak sense, calm dominance over your own state. You're with her because you want to be, not because you need to be. And she feels that, deeply. Because now, there's risk. Not for you, for her. She knows something most men try to hide. That if she leaves, you don't fall apart, you don't spiral, you don't chase, you continue, you wake up the next day, you drink your coffee, you move forward, unaffected. And that creates a tension she can't ignore. Because now she's not managing you, she's trying to keep you. She invests more, thinks more, feels more, not because you demanded it, because she can lose you. That's the shift. That's where attraction becomes effort on her side. And you're not forcing anything, you're simply leading, because you can. But there's a cost to seeing this, and no one talks about this part. Once you understand these dynamics, you don't go back. You start seeing patterns everywhere. You see the test before it happens, the shift in tone, the setup, the subtle manipulation. You read it instantly, and something changes inside you. The illusion fades, because what most people call chemistry is often just confusion, uncertainty, blindness. It's the thrill of not knowing what's happening, of reacting instead of seeing. And once you see, you don't react the same way anymore. You don't stumble in the dark. You walk with clarity. But clarity comes with distance, not physical, mental. You'll have options, more than before. But fewer people will feel real, because you understand the game they're playing, even when they don't. You trade the chaos of a boy for the control of a man. The excitement becomes quieter, colder, but deeper, more stable. And now the only real question is this: are you ready for that? Not can you do it. Anyone can imitate behavior, but can you hold it consistently when it matters? Can you stay grounded when she pulls away? Can you stay calm when she tests you? Can you stay unmoved when your old instincts tell you to chase? Because this path, it's not loud, it's not crowded, it's quiet, and most men won't walk it. But if you do, everything changes. Now listen carefully. In the next video, I'm going to break down the one test she will never admit she's running, the silent withdrawal that makes most men panic, chase, and destroy their own position without even realizing it. I'll show you exactly how to read it, and more importantly, how to reverse it. So when she pulls away, she's the one who ends up coming back stronger. If you think you understand the game now, wait until you see that. That's coming in the next upload. But for now, don't lose the momentum you just built. Watch the video appearing on your screen right now. It connects directly to what you've just learned and shows you how these dynamics play out in real situations most men completely misread. Click it. Stay in the frame. And if this shifted your perspective even slightly, subscribe, turn on the bell, and like the video. Most men will never understand the game, but you do. I'll see you among the few.